Ajai and I'm excited to be sharing a series of videos on the theme War Room to Boardroom. I spent 25 years in the military, commanded my tank regiment, was a senior military observer with 2 consecutive United Nations missions in Cambodia, led businesses for 15 years in the corporate, and from the last 5 years, I'm realizing my passion to coach, teach, equip and empower leaders to optimize their potential. So I've experienced both spectrums of leadership. Military leadership, wherein I commanded my tank regiment, which is the acid test of inspirational leadership. And leading businesses in the corporate to create value and deliver profitable business growth. So in this series, I will share my experience of key military leadership lessons, insights, principles of war and warfare strategies which can be applied by corporate leaders to the business world. However, in this video, I will just talk about a basic perspective and share one key factor which, though common to both the military and corporate leadership, but has 3 unique ramifications for military combat leadership, which is way different to corporate leadership. And in the subsequent videos, I will get down to specifics and share leadership principles which can be applied to the corporate world. So what's that one key factor? It's VUCA, V-U-C-A, which is frankly an overflogged acronym for a volatile, uncertain, complex and an ambiguous environment. The origin of this term is from the military and later adapted by strategic business leaders to describe rapidly changing business environment which has now become the new normal. However, in the military, this has always been the case from decades. The military has always been and always will be employed in a VUCA environment. Whether it's a hot war situation against an adversary on a border forefront, or it's counterinsurgency operations, or it's internal security operations, or it's operations against terrorists, or launching of surgical strikes, responding to national calamities, whatever be the case, the military is always deployed in a VUCA environment. So it's nothing new for the military. And to add to that complexity, even the deployments in the military are across diverse terrains and in multifaceted modes, from desert warfare to semi-desert, to operations in the plains, to mountain warfare, to operations in the glacier, to jungle warfare, and in varied modes, from land operations, mechanized operations, airborne operations, heliborne operations, amphibious operations, and could be joint service operations with the Navy and the Air Force, and a combination of any or all of these. So you get the sense of the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity which military leaders at all levels have to deal with on an ongoing and consistent basis. VUCA is also a terminology used to describe a business environment. But there are 3 derivatives which are completely unique to military leadership, which is not so in the corporate world. And I've used this acronym CPM to describe these. The first is C, consequences of decision making. There are different decision making frameworks. However, it essentially filters down to 3 steps. Step 1, what must be achieved. Step 2, how can this be achieved? And step 3, how should this be achieved? The point here is not to get into decision-making frameworks, but to understand the criticality and the time pressure under which decisions need to be made. At times, it's in splits of seconds. And coupled with that is the fact that a wrong decision, more often than not, is irrevocable. It cannot be reversed. It cannot be compensated. The consequences of wrong decisions would lead to soldiers getting back home wrapped up in the national flag or the national tricolor. The ramifications are permanent. A widow created is a widow forever. An orphan created is an orphan forever. Parents losing their sons and daughters are forever. Now, such grave and extreme consequences of decision making is certainly not the case in the corporate world. The second is P, predictability of plans. The complexity and the velocity of military operations zeroizes the probability of a plan that can predict the reality. There is a time-honored military dictum, an old military adage: no plan ever survives first contact with the enemy. Now, such like velocity, such like fluidity is not the case in the corporate world. Joe Frazier, that legendary boxer, once said, "You can have a training plan, you can have a fight plan, but when it gets to the ring, you're back to your reflexes." And this highlights the criticality of honing of battle drills and operational procedures at all levels to precision, which then allows the flexibility and the agility to respond to changing situations. And the third is M, motivation. Combat leaders in the military lead troops into battle without any extrinsic motivators. There are no material incentives whatsoever. It's by sheer, unadulterated, inspirational leadership. So despite these three aspects which I spoke about, consequences of decision making, zeroized predictability of plans, no extrinsic motivators, the Indian Army has accomplished its mission always and every time, even if it's at the cost of soldiers making the supreme sacrifice. So it's important, if not imperative, for corporate leaders to gain insight into the dynamics of military leadership and understand what is that driving force which inspires soldiers to lay down their lives and make that supreme sacrifice. What generates that indomitable spirit? What facilitates critical decision making under time pressure when the consequences can be irrevocable? What ensures planning and action to sharp and meticulous precision? What propels that swift mental, physical, and operational agility to respond to rapidly changing and fluid situations? So in the subsequent videos, I'll share some insights and principles which can be adopted from military war rooms to corporate boardrooms to ensure definite accomplishment of corporate mission and vision whilst ensuring high morale of the employees. And in the next video, I'll start with the first one, and that's an acronym, MVP. So look forward to seeing you in the next video, and thanks for watching.